when we're trapped in a state of victimization and blame, we've actually given our power away. We're tied up with that person and that place.
Things that affect us in childhood also affect us as adults. So can something that happens to us in childhood be worked through as adults? I mean, can you ever get to a place of forgiveness? How does that work?
Things happen to us in childhood, and as adults, those things stick with us. Sometimes they go away, sometimes they don't. Sometimes we have a very discrete trauma as a child. Sometimes we have chronic trauma as a child. And those things do affect us as adults. And so how do you work with those? You can work with them at a rational cognitive level to get through moments. But if you find that that's not working, what you can do is get to what your body is holding about those experiences, because our bodies hold the traumas that we experience, both chronic and critical. And so connecting to those areas in the body where the emotions about those experiences are held is a way to get rid of the energy that your body's holding and to really get over something that's happened in childhood. And do we need to forgive? Your book comes to mind where giving as before is one of the ways of forgiving. And I think that it's important to know that sometimes you want to give as before. And if this is an intimate person, it's important to get to that place. And there are going to be people who you can't give to as before because they're not safe.
Yeah, kind of building, I think, a little bit on both. A theme that's come up is around victimization, right? And I know in my life and in the work I do with my clients, I take people to where do you feel stuck? Where do you feel victimized? Where do you still blame someone for something that's gone on? And to do a very simple practice, one that I've made part of my daily, exercise, whether driving and getting angry and cutting someone off and being like, oh, I'm going to forgive them and forgive myself. But the piece that I found so powerful is when someone pointed out that when we're trapped in a state of victimization and blame, we've actually given our power away. We're tied up with that person and that place.
We want to be in the present time. From the present time, we can create a new future and not repeat past patterns. And forgiveness is essential in that process. And we just sort of relive something, oh, because that person did this to me, that person did this to me, that's why I'm this way, as opposed to, I'm this way and I'm moving forward to something better. The best is yet to come. And that little hook is there. And when you're really mad at somebody, you resent them or they hurt you in some way, you don't want to give them anything. That's why it's important. And forgive, it seems like you're giving them something. That's why you want to realize, I'm not giving them anything. I'm giving myself freedom from them. This is a gift to me to let it go. And I do use the term with forgiveness as well, to give love as before. And what I mean by that is you do it with discernment. You give the love, which is open-hearted, because, we all have our peak moments. We love everybody. I only wish well for everybody. But with discernment, I give more to my wife and my children than anybody else. And I'm dedicated to that. I'm committed to that. So there's discernment. You do a business deal with somebody, you realize this is just not the right person for me to do business with. I wish them well. Until you're wishing them well, but you don't have to give them anything, but you're giving yourself the forgiveness and letting go of the resentment, letting go of them having power. I remember once doing a show with Oprah, and she said, it's giving someone free rent in your brain to torment you. So let's let it go and move on. I don't have to necessarily give you a second chance, but if you're the person I love more than anybody else, I give my wife 1,000,000 second chances.
Right.
In ancient Japan, a convicted murderer would be locked up for 1 year. And during that 1 year, the family of the victim would be allowed to mourn. At the end of 12 months, the murderer was brought out to the deepest lake, and they were chained up with padlocks, and rowed out about 3 feet and dropped overboard with heavy weights. The family was also brought to the location. They had the only key to unlock them. And it was up to them as to whether they would forgive over 12 months or whether they would watch the murderer die at their hand. For me, that kind of exemplifies what forgiveness is all about. It's not saying that whatever they did was right, what it does is it says what you did has no more control over me anymore.